Hello. So for this week's journal assignment, we're discussing a interaction that stuck out to me with my nurse practitioner for my clinicals. I have one in particular. I had a recent assessment done with, the assessment wasn't with a adolescent, but it ended up being about an adolescent. It was actually for a parent. It was a lady who has been dealing with major depressive disorder as well as anxiety. She is currently going through a divorce with her husband, and they had been separated recently as well over the last few months. The lady was talking about how her husband, well, soon to be ex-husband, they have a son and a daughter, and their oldest son is autistic. And one of the reasons why they ended up separating is because the husband was very abusive with her as well as the son. And her final straw was when he had recently beat their son. And after he beat their son, she was so scared that this time she ended up calling the police. And when they got there, she let them know what happened. She was stating that her daughter was upset with her because she's a teenager. She was upset with her because she had called the police on her father and that she had been kind of acting out towards her mom. The daughter had also been going with the father. He had been taking her places and he had been spending a lot of money on her and buying things that she liked. But the mom said that he never did those things with the son and that he had been showing favoritism with the daughter. One of the reason why I chose this particular interaction is because the nurse practitioner notified her. She said she was, she tried to say it in a very caring manner to where she didn't try to get the mom upset, but of course, what parent wouldn't? And she notified her. She's like, that's very weird for a father. Most of the time, men don't take to one child and spoil one child when he has multiple children. That is a very rare trait and characteristic for a man. And the mom was like, well, yeah, this is what he always does. He takes her places, he buys her things. He took her shopping last week. He doesn't talk to our son. He doesn't speak to our son. He doesn't ask about him. And the nurse practitioner said, I really hate having to say this, but I do need to say this. I've worked with children for a very long time, and I've done a lot of assessments on both children as well as adults. And a lot of the times when there is a parent who is showing favoritism to one particular child and not the others, that is a sign of some type of sexual abuse. And even though it was something that she had to say and the mom needed to hear, I noticed that the mother, to me, her response gave denial. And myself, as she was talking the entire time, because I worked with children myself for so long, I felt the same way. Before she spoke it, I thought that automatically. In my mind, I'm like, I think she may need to keep an eye on that. It sounds to me like he may be doing something with her. And I know a lot of times they groom the children and then they start to do all those things because they're trying to hush them. That's, a lot of times we're keeping them quiet. And then the child grows up and resents the parent because they have a better understanding of the world and the fact that they were being abused. So that stood out to me a lot. And the fact that the nurse practitioner, regardless of how hard it was for her to say, she said it and she made that statement, and that was part of what she has to do in her practice. And that just showed me the significance that we have. Well, I will be a nurse practitioner when I'm finished, but the impact that the nurse practitioner has over the lives of not only the patient that they're working with, but the entire family system of whoever the patient is, because her saying that to the lady let her know some of the things that she may have needed to open her eyes to that she didn't recognize and didn't see, and that she may need to pay more attention to. I did notice that she made a statement like, well, I think his autism is something that kind of pushes him away. So it almost gave she was trying to like make excuses for her husband. But I do think and hope that she, is paying more attention now. And she may even need to actually sit her daughter down and have a conversation with her and just bring it up. Not directly, but maybe indirectly, just to see her reaction to discussing sexual abuse with a parent, or if she'd ever experienced it or knew a child that had experienced it. Just, I feel like it's something that she would now need to bring up. But in some parents' cases, I know a lot of times they don't bring things up because they don't want to face the truth. Because, they may feel that it'll hurt them more because they may feel guilty that they didn't recognize the signs earlier, or even make the child feel comfortable enough to let them know. Like I said, that showed me the significance of the nurse practitioner role, because some things that other individuals don't see, the nurse practitioner does see, because they have been educated on specific areas in healthcare and in mental health. What I got from that in a positive way was, like I said, us being able to be helpful to the family. The limitations on that, I don't think there were any. Like I said, I was a little upset about the fact that the mom seemed like she didn't want to. She kind of was making excuses for the father versus accepting that it could be possible. Because if he had the ability to abuse her like he did, I would expect her to maybe be more open to trying to figure out, well, why is he treating her this way if everybody else is being? If I'm being abused, my son is being abused, why is she being loved? So that a limitation to me wouldn't be what happened. I think everything went well on the nurse practitioner end, but it just kind of, like I said, upsetted me to see this mom not want it to be true. So to kind of try to brush the conversation off. And I did get a lot from this meeting. This assessment. It was probably about 45 minutes to an hour long. And I think it was initially set for like 20 to 30 minutes, but it ended up longer because it turned into, she kind of changed the conversation up into something else. But so I think it was kind of like to change the situation of the nurse practitioner even thinking like that. But it was already there after all the things that she had said. But like I said, I really enjoyed being present for the clinical session, even though the situation, upsetted me to think that a father could be doing that to his little girl, and that she would be so, I wouldn't even say naive to believe her father and be against her mom, because she's a kid. And those type of men that manipulate children, they know what the things they are that they can say to, manipulate a child's mind. So that kind of hurt my feelings just to see that a young girl could even be going through that with her own father. But I did, like I said, I got a lot from the experience, and I think it was a good assessment. And I did learn to, regardless of how hard it is to say a certain thing, you gotta say it. That is our job. That is our role. So, like I said, I enjoyed the assessment. And that's about it. That's what I got from this week that was very important and stuck out to me. Thank you.